All right, so this is my very first YouTube channel video. Hello, hello, hello. My page is called Divine Downloads and Perspectives. The reason for this page, it's kind of come to me over, something that's happened to me over the past couple of years or whatnot since my awakening. Just information and downloads that come to me just intuitively, and the experiences that I've had along this journey, just feeling the need to express them, share them, just kind of get them out there or whatnot. So that's really the inspiration for this page. Is to really just share these downloads that I get naturally, that come to me, like I said, intuitively, that come through me in thought forms. It comes in the form of knowing. So normally, I'll be sharing with friends, just close, intimate friends, or on my Facebook page, but that hasn't really gotten as much traffic or notice as I would have liked. So this is an attempt to reach a much larger audience. So as my first video, I really want to speak about ego versus self, right? And for those of us, now this doesn't apply to every, the majority of the things that I'm going to say moving forward apply to those who are on the spiritual journey as well. For those who consider themselves to be conscious, and to be conscious means to be aware or awaken to self, right? So for those of us that are on this spiritual journey, the first thing that happens is the awakening, right? And you on the spiritual journey, you have these challenges, and you have these obstacles, or you have these goals and missions or whatnot that you come across, and everything is designed to help you further on your spiritual journey, because the end all be all goal, right, is to merge back with one, to become one all again with the whole, with source, with God, right? So there is a distinction, there is a huge distinction between what is really at play and what is really operating as we maneuver through this spiritual journey, right? So we know that we are not our bodies. This is not who we are. Who we are is our soul. That is our spirit, what is within us. We are spirits or soul having a human experience. And this body, this avatar, is what is needed, is the protection of the soul, right? In order to even exist here in this dense 3D realm of Earth, you have to have a physical suit, because Earth is Earth is physical, right? Earth is tangible. Earth is, it's what can be seen, it's what can be smelled, it's what can be touched. It's Earth. It's very dense, it's very heavy. So in order to even survive here, you have to be made of what is here. You have to have a suit that accommodates the type of environment. It's just like when you have astronauts who go to outer space, right? You can't just go into outer space just as is. You won't survive. You won't even make it up there. You have to have a special suit that is accommodated just for that type of atmosphere. So same thing, right? So this is our suit, this is our body, this is our avatar, which is the ego. This is what thinks it's in control. This is what thinks it's leading everything, when in hindsight, really, it's the soul. The soul is like, think of Power Rangers, right? You got the people that are inside these big machines, and they're the ones controlling this machine. It's not the machine that's controlling the situation or controlling its own movements and actions, but rather the driver that is in the seat of that machine, that robot, that is controlling it, every action that it takes. So that that's really the issue that the collective deals with, right? Is we're supposed to be operating through our spirit, because that is the captain, that is the conductor, that is God, that, you know, the spirit sits on your soul, like they say, our third eye, right, is the crown of the spirit, or the seat of the throne of spirit, or seat of soul. Okay, kind of different ways you can say it, I've heard, but that is the seat of your soul is in your third eye, right? It is right there. That is the captain. That is what's controlling this whole thing. That's what's navigating through this entire journey. It's not the body. So through conditioning, once we arrive here into this 3D realm, we forget ourselves. We lose connection with ourselves. We lose touch with ourselves. And so that's when ego tends to take the role of, I'm in control, I'm doing this, I'm making the decisions, completely unaware of who's really doing the action, who's really making the calls, right? So it all came to me. So recently I've been experiencing, I've had my awakening back in, let's say, 2018, 2019 is when I originally started to wake up to self. And since then, just recently, just this year alone, I've had some things happen to me relationship wise. And that's really what kind of just catapulted me here to where I am right now. And it's all by design, of course, but due to relationships, some tower moments, if you want to call them, that is what has kind of forced me into this space of this understanding of who and what I really am. I am going through what they like to refer to as the ego death, right? And I want to say, in regards to that, I don't like using ego death. It's a misnomer, and a misnomer means something that's incorrectly labeled. Okay, it's not exactly as it sounds that it is. So, ego is not experiencing a death. As there's no such thing as dying here in this 3D realm, because everything is energy. Every single thing is energy, including us, right? Our soul is just an energetic imprint. So using ego death is the wrong way to put it, because it's not dying. It's not experiencing a death. It's not even experiencing I guess you could kind of say somewhat of a transformation, but more of a merging and integration, right? So my ego at the moment is going through an integration. It's returning back to self, merging back with self. So I'm literally going through this process. Ego, I'm literally going through this process. And this has just been recent, to be honest. They call it also dissolution of ego, right? So I guess this dissolution, or this, what I prefer to call is integration. This integration really has been going on, since my entering into this 3D realm, since birth, really. It's kind of like a background running program. You're not really aware that this program is there, but it's there, and it's still running in the background. It's still operating. It's still playing out, and it's functioning as it was designed to do. So since the moment that I entered into this 3D realm, since I was born in the physical and I manifested, I've been on this journey of merging, of integration between soul and self. The union, okay, that's really what it is. It's the union of what is spoken about so often, even in biblical terms, right? This union, this marriage between God and self, or God and ego, really, because God is self, is soul, but then there's ego, which is the body, the tangible. So that is what that marriage is all about. It is that union within ourselves, to returning back to ourselves. So the way that it came to me, right, because I really am into astrology heavily. I've been studying astrology for about the past 3 to 4 years, and I'm completely self-taught. I mean, well, with the help of my best friend, who's been in astrology for many, many years. She definitely has been my coach. She's been helping me and, just kind of guiding me along in this journey or what have you. So with the help of my best friend and whatnot, I'm completely self-taught in astrology. So astrology just makes sense to me, right? Just like how religion, those who believe in a God outside themselves, their God is the answer to everything. It's the answer to their prayers. It's the answer to any question that they can think of. God is always the answer. Well, for me, astrology is that for me. Astrology answers everything, every why, every when. It's that. Everything is in that because we are, astrology really just refers to our heavens, our sky above us, right? Our stars, our luminaries and how they move and the connections and communications that they're having one another and how that affects us because we are of the cosmos, right? We are the stars, we are the luminaries, we are all of this. We come everything is just everything, right? Everything is energy. Energy is everything's energy. So I hate when I kind of get off track here. It's my first video, so it's a lot that I have to say. But yeah, so it came to me, this breaking down and this separation, how this separation occurred, why the separation occurred, and how to enter integration. It all came to me in a form of astrology, right? So in the basis of astrology, you're dealing with a chart, and your chart is in the form of a wheel, right? They call it the astrology wheel, a wheel, and even your chart that comes with you when you were born, which says that at the time that you were born, the sun was in this house in this sign, the moon was in this house in this sign at this degree, and Uranus was in this house. That is your birth chart, and it comes in a form of a wheel. Okay. And now this wheel is broken down, and I drew, and it came to me in a form of a drawing, and I don't have too good of a resolution here on this camera on my computer or my Chromebook. So, maybe next video I may try to use my phone because the resolution's a little bit clearer on there. You're able to actually see the drawing of what I wrote a lot clearer than you're able to see on here. So I'll do the best that I can as far as explaining goes and trying to make it as clear. But, so it came to me in a form of a drawing. So again, this is your astrological wheel, right? You have your 12 zodiac signs, 1 through 12. Okay, all your zodiac signs, starting with Aries being the very first one, and then ending with Pisces being the very last, being the 12th house. That's the very last one. So you start here at Aries, and then you make your, it's a clock, right? We have a time clock above us, as above, so below. We come from this clock. We are this clock. So we start off at 1, we make our way all the way around clockwise, all the way, we get here to 12, right? This is us. This is the wheel. So this wheel is broken down into quadrants, right? Into 4 quadrants. And these 4 quadrants represent your 4 elements, water, earth, fire, air. And then you have your 4 seasons, summer, fall, winter, spring. Okay, that's what this all represents. And then, so we have here, so our wheel, this is the whole, it represents us, okay, the whole being, the whole God, source, okay. And so now we split this wheel across. This is where our horizon or ecliptic line, that's where that comes into play. It's split up first. Okay, now this split is indicative of the original split from the wholeness to 2 halves of one whole, because now you have 2 halves of one whole. Okay, so because we originally start in the 5D, right? The 5D realm is the astral realm. It is the realm where God resides. It is our higher conscious, our higher self. That is where we come from. And us being the fallen angels, per Bible, we fell from the fifth dimension to the fourth dimension, and that is where the original split took place. And then when we fell from the fourth dimension down to the third dimension, to this very dense earthly realm dimension, that split then becomes fractals. The split splits more, and it creates the fractal. So now we have a fractaled half of a whole. Okay, so now we can clearly identify or clearly split or view the split between the whole, right? I wish I had like a pen. Hold on one second. Let me get. Okay. So now, so as I said, so now we have this split, right? So this split is the split between our ego and our true self, okay? It's also the masculine, the feminine. It's also the right hemisphere, left hemisphere of our brain. It's also the conscious versus the unconscious. It's also mind versus heart. And it's also... it's a lot. Because everything here in this realm works. If you're familiar with the Hermetic principles, the 7 Hermetic principles, one of them is polarity. Everything here works in polarities. Okay, so that is indicative. Again, that represents this half, this split. It's polarities. It's two sides of the same coin. It's magnetism, right? Electromagnetism or magnetism, the push and the pull between the two. So that's what that is. So on one side here, we have our ego. Now the ego here represents the masculine side. It is the conscious side, right? So when we say that we are conscious beings, or I am now awake, I am now conscious, that means that your ego has now awakened to itself. Because here on the other side, we have the soul, which is the self. And this is the unconscious. This is what is, again, this is the driver. How we say, I unconsciously did this, or, in the back of my unconscious, there's this and that or whatever. That's your soul. That is the background running program that is unseen. This is the soul is the unseen. It is the non-tangible, right? You can't use it does not appeal to any of your 5 senses. But you have to know. It's also between the knowing and the knowing and the believing. And the soul, you just know, right? But in the ego, this is where I believe. Okay, so the ego becomes conscious to the unconsciousness that is really in control and running everything, the background running program. So then what happens is, so ego is also the I am, I am that I am, because ego works off of your 5 senses, right? Everything that appeals to the 5 senses. So when you say, I think, I feel, I believe, I am, this is the ego that's talking. This is the ego that is wanting to be front and center, the one that wants to be in control. It wants to feel like it's present. And in order to be present, it has to have something that is tangible, something that appeals, something that it can attach to the senses, okay? Because it works through attachment. It's also attachment versus non-attachment or detachment, right? ego attaches. So it has to have something to attach to feel like it's still here, that it's still here in the present, because it is the one that fears. It is the one that thinks that it can die. It fears dying. It does not know. You know, when you hear the saying, well, what do I know? I know nothing. The ego knows. The ego does not know. It is the soul that knows. It is the ego that believes. So it thinks, it does not know, but it thinks that it could possibly die. So it fears, okay? All your emotions and things like that, that is the ego. So it is the one that fears this not being here, this death. Okay, so, and our egos are the very first thing to be defined when we do enter into this realm. So our ego is the body, is the actual physical body, again, because it's tangible. It represents everything that applies to the five senses. So these physical bodies is the ego. It is the suit. It is the protection for our soul. So it is the very first thing that enters into this earthly realm out of our mother's womb, right? When you come out of your mother's womb, the very first thing they see is your body, and then they go to define. Oh, congrats, you have a baby girl. Congrats, you have a boy. Okay, that's the very first thing. So now we're starting off with, well, and these houses as well. So we start off with the first house is it applies to your physical appearance. It literally applies to your body. So now you're already defined in its very first house of I am a boy or I am a girl. Okay. Now we're getting to our second house, which is the house of possessions, liquid assets, things that you own, tangible, right? So I am a car owner, okay? And then we get here to the third house. The third house deals with communications and technology, right? How you verbalize, how you verbally express. I am a great speaker. Okay, anything that's pushing out is the masculine. Masculine expresses, masculine pushes. That's the sun. The sun is the ego, okay? The sun, how everything supposedly revolves around the sun, and how the sun is the son of God, the son of God, okay? The sun, S-U-N or S-O-N of God, right? The sun is the ego. So it pushes out, our sun that we see outside, it pushes out energy. It pushes out rays. It pushes out electricity, okay? I don't know why my brain kind of went blank for a second. But it does the pushing, okay? Whereas the feminine, the soul, the moon, right? The moon, it receives, it pulls in, just like the moon controls the tides of the ocean because it's pulling in the tides. It's that, they also say it's also a old wives' tale that majority of births happen on full moons, and this is actually, you can actually research this because I actually have my baby girl on a full moon. So this is actually a real thing. Full moons also induce birth because it's a pulling, okay? It is a pulling of that soul here to this realm, okay? So now we've got the outward expression, okay? So we've got the body, the assets, and then we have our communication. And then we have house 4. House 4 is like your foundation, your actual physical house. So now I'm a house owner, okay? And then we get to house 5. Your house 5 is like your close, intimate relationships, relationships that happen within the home. So now I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a daughter. Okay. Then we get here to the last half of this, the last the last house of this half, which is the sixth house. Now this refers to your day-to-day routine, even your hygiene or your health. Okay, so now I am a gym goer, or I am a weightlifter, or I am I am a herbal nutritionist. Okay. So these are all the I ams. These are all everything that refers, that can appeal and that can attach to our five senses, which is the ego. Okay. And these houses, so houses 1 through 6, when dealing with astrology, are considered to be personal houses. These personal houses are houses that are inside of the wheel. Again, so they refer to everything personal to us. Again, how we self-identify ourselves personally. Okay. Then we have the other side of the wheel, which is considered to be the collective. It's the outside of the wheel. It's everything that has to do with outside of this physical us. Okay. So then we'll start with house. So this is the that I am. So we have over here everything that was defining. So the moment that we're born, our ego is being defined. Okay. And that is with the I am. So now after our ego has been defined, now ego has to enter into a space of integration, of returning back to itself. And it starts with the outside houses, or the collective, starting with house 7. So house 7 is your outside relationships outside the home, right? So your relationship with your boss, your relationship with your teacher, your relationship with your nurse. Okay, these houses are all non-tangible. These houses are unseen. Okay, you can't physically see, smell, touch, hear a relationship between yourself and your coworker. Okay, you just know. Okay, again, this is the knowing. You just know that you have a relationship with them. It's unseen, but you know that it's there, that it exists. Okay, it's like this. It's this energetic cord, because when we form relationships with others, we form this energetic cord with one another. And this energetic cord cannot be seen, but we know that it's there. We know that it exists because we know that it exists by merely having the relationship with somebody else. That is the proof that there is an existence of this unseen energetic cord, this line that's connecting. Okay, then we move over here to the 8th house. And the 8th house deals with other people's resources, other people's finances, other people's assets. Okay, they're not personal to you, they're other people's. Then we have the 9th house. The 9th house is the house of travel and expansion, travel to foreign places, wisdom of foreign things, of wisdom of other cultures, other traditions, things like that. And then we have the 10th house. The 10th house is your career. The type of career that you have, the career field, how you operate in your career field. That's all replying again to the 10th house. Then we have the 11th house here, and the 11th house deals with the community as a whole. What part of community you're part of, how you operate in a community. Are you part of the LGBTQ plus? Are you part of a swingers community? Are you part of the after the PTO at your children's school? These are communities. Okay. And then we have the last house, right? The last house is the spiritual house. Okay, this is the house where God is said to reside. This is the house of the unseen. This is the house of the soul. Okay, so by the time ego has been defined and has made it here, now this is the integration and the what they call the dissolution of ego happening from here all the way to here. Now, the 12th house. So what I've realized here, now remember I said that we come from the 5D. We fell as fallen angels. We fell per scripture, right? We fell from the 5D into the 3D. We materialized or manifested here into the physical. Our souls manifested here into the physical. So we start up here. So the house of God, the house of spirituality, which is ran by Neptune. Neptune is the ruler of the 12th house. Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It deals with illusions and delusions, dreamy. It's also, the 12th house is also the house of institutions. It's the house of solitude. It's the house of undoing. It's the house of loss, right? That is also why the ego fears this dissolution or integration, because by the time it makes it up here in the house of loss, it thinks it will be lost, right? So we start here in Pisces. And if we go back here to scripture, because all of this is going to refer to the Bible, because the Bible literally from beginning to end is the soul, is the returning back to self, returning back to God, right? It is the twin flame journey, starting from Adam to Eve, all the way down, all the way out to Revelations, to the new heaven or the new earth, and the old earth passing away. The new earth, being the 5D. And this passing away. So from beginning to end, the Bible, this is the Bible, okay? So in the 12th house, Pisces, right? Pisces is associated with Jesus. Jesus is said, Pisces are, if you look at the Pisces symbol, zodiac, okay? The symbol for the zodiac of Pisces is two fish, right? And they're swimming around each other. That is Jesus. Jesus is said to be the fisherman of fish. He also fed the people with the fish and loaves of bread. The age in which the Christ mentality, or the age in which Jesus was manifested as a literal and tangible figure, was said to happen in the age of Pisces. Okay, so Pisces here, God, Jesus. When you break up these wheels, each corresponding house, each house has a corresponding house. Okay, so remember how I said we started off as a whole, and then we split into a half, and then we fractaled. Okay, so now we have these other fractals. So house 1 is in a, here we go. Okay, so house 1 and house 7 are in correspondence with each other. They're equal opposites. Okay, so house 1 was how you physically self-identify, and then house 7 is identifying of relationships. Okay. And then we have house 2 corresponds to house 8, your personal assets and wealth versus others' assets and wealth. Then you have 3 and 9 go together. 9 being foreign, distance, expansion. 3 being local, local travel. Local travel, closer. And then we have, where did I say? Okay. And then 4 and 10. I'm trying to look at this on the side. So 4 and 10 then go together. So 10 again was that career, outside the home. And then we have 4, which is the home, inside the home. It's the house. This is the job. This is the house. And then we have 5 and 11. 11 is the community. 5 is inside the home, whereas 4 was the actual home. 5 is inside that home. 11 is outside the home, and 5 is inside. Then it brings us to 12 and 6. So again, 12 is it's the spirit, it's the unseen, it's the I'm trying to think, unpractical, versus the 6th house, which is more practical. It is the body. Okay, so if 12 is the spirit, then 6 is the body. Okay, so you see how these all correspond with each other. They're equal opposites. Aries and Libra, and then Taurus and Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Cancer, Aquarius, Leo, Pisces, Virgo. Okay, so it came to me, and again, going by scripture, right? So Jesus starting up here, God, one whole, before God splits himself into 2 identities and then manifests himself here on physical earth. And it was done through the sign of Virgo, Virgin, Mother Mary, right? We start up here as one whole. We start up here as the soul, as the spirit, and we manifest. We start here in the 12th house, and we manifest through Virgo, because Virgo is this Virgo is an earth sign. Okay, and again, the earth is very dense, and you have to have the earth to manifest. Those who work with magic and things like that, or even just manifestations, know that in order to manifest, like the number one important rule, in order to manifest, you have to ground. You have to ground that energy, because everything here manifests into the physical, and the physical is the earth, and it has to be of the earth, and in order for it to be tangible. So in order for us to manifest, we had to manifest through Virgo into the earth to have a flesh. Okay, so this is the journey of Jesus, God splitting itself, and then manifesting that other half of itself into the physical. So this is why when you read the Bible, there's conversations that Jesus is having with God, his Father up above. And then, he's telling everyone, I am but my Father. I am my Father is God. I am, right? The I am. So we are God. We split ourselves and manifest it as a outward representation or a outward manifestation of what is unseen. The body is a manifestation of the spirit, of the soul. So that's how we came. We come through the 12th and we come out in the 6th. Okay? So when the split happens, as I said earlier, when God split himself into 2, that's where the forgetting of self, because again, when we enter in here, we start off with defining ourselves. This is the very first thing. So the ego is the very first thing to even be recognized or to be seen. It just is how and why the ego operates that it does. Why the ego feels it has to be seen. It has to be in control. It has to be the center of attention. Is because it's started off as being the very first things, the very first thing that was noticed, the very first thing that was defined. So when we return back to ourselves. So when we enter into this realm, it's like that is the beginning of our spiritual journey. When you enter here, that's when it all starts. Again, like when I came here, I said that is a running program that's already running in the background that we're not aware of. We're not aware of it until later, because ego has to be defined first for ego to even be able to come into acknowledgement that there's something else, or there's somebody else in charge or at play here. So once our ego has been defined, now we are on this journey to learn ourselves. Who are you really? Who is your true self? Be what's true to you. And we could definitely see that in phases, even in our life cycles and things like that. After we've experienced life and we've done this, we've done that, we've been here, been there, done this, done that, right? After a while is when you start to, it's like again, like a clock. It's like once it has struck that 6 and it moves over to the 7th hour, now this is when it starts. Now this is when the discovering and the remembering of who you really are. And even the word remembering means to bring back together your membranes. Okay, your membranes are physical, is the physical cells of your body. So you're remembering, you're coming back together, that unification between soul and self. That is where it starts, is that like that 7th hour. So that's when you want to start to learn, who are you really? What is my purpose here in life? What am I supposed to be doing? What is life all about? That is when that starts. That is when that discovery of self, when you have to learn yourself, because ego, again, from the 1st to the 6th hour is completely unaware that self even exists, because it's not even paying attention to all the focus is on ego right now. So there is no reason to even have to consider or think of anything else. It's just, it does not exist. The ego is the consciousness one. It is the one that is in awareness. It's the one using our physical eyes, to decipher and to pull information in. Okay. So after it's been defined, then that's when it can start to go back to, okay, what's really going on here? I thought I was this and I thought that I was that, but what am I really? So this also applies to how I mentioned the Bible being a representation or a depiction of the twin flame journey. Only those who are on a spiritual journey are on a twin flame journey. Just to make that clear. So again, just going back to what I said early in the beginning of the video, everything that I'm saying right now, it applies to those who are on a spiritual journey. Okay. So if you are on a twin flame journey, you're also already on a spiritual journey. But those who are on a spiritual journey may not be on a twin flame journey. Okay, because there's only but so many twin flames. Like there's 144,000 twin flames. Which means there's 144,000 souls that have been split into halves, making it 72,000 people that are on a twin flame, that are twin flames. Okay, because once you split that whole soul, the 144,000, once you split it, you get to 72,000. Okay, so you have 72,000 divine masculines, and then you have 72,000 divine feminines. You got 72,000 egos, and you got 72,000 souls that need to find each other, and to merge back into wholeness. Okay. So that's the whole purpose of the twin flame, and the reason for having to merge back, because it is for the collective, because we are all each other. Again, we are God, but just fractals of God. So we are all each other. So the twin flames coming together have a higher mission of healing the collective, healing ourselves, which is healing the collective, and then helping through the and then helping us to ascend to this new earth, because this earth, the old earth per scripture, is going to pass away, and there will be a new earth. So twin flames have a mission in helping the collective to ascend to this new earth that will be coming, or that is here, or what have you. So the twin flames, like I said, are the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Okay, so your divine masculine is going to represent, he is that unconscious, he is that ego, he is of the matrix. He is not aware of. He has not come into union. He's aware. He's conscious. Again, he's aware of his atmosphere and things like that. But he has not come into that, and he has not come into that unification. He has not come into that oneness with himself. What has not happened on the inside? Because even though we are twin flames, we still possess masculine and feminine within ourselves. Okay, so everything as within, so without, as above, so below. So what happens internally also happens externally. Okay, so the divine masculine operating in his ego has not come into union with his divine feminine, which also has not taken place within himself. Once he becomes conscious and aware of himself, his divine feminine within himself, then that merging takes place within self. Then it happens on the outside, as without as well. So again, so we have the masculine as that is the ego, that is of the matrix. He's not going to, he's not spiritual. He's not in tune with his spirit, not as of yet. Then we have the divine feminine, which is the spirit, which is the soul. She's more spiritual. She's in tune with herself. She's in tune with her divine feminine. So once she goes through her process of also unifying her ego with her divine feminine, consequently, the same will happen on the outside. So it has to happen on the spiritual plane first, the inside as within. It has to happen there first before it can happen as without on the physical plane, between two physical bodies, between two physical beings happens. That happens first, that happens last, and then that's when the merging has been completed. That is when the ascension takes place. And the ascension is possible because the merging, it's the merging of two. Okay, so take like a scale, right? Libra, Ma'at. Okay, the scales, the balancing. To balance these two, we have to balance these two together, because balancing them brings them into alignment, right? When they're unbalanced, they're out of alignment. Okay, you've got one that's pulling down, and you've got another that's reaching for the sky, right? We've got Virgo, and we've got Pisces up here. Pisces, the soul, light as a feather. We all float down here. Okay, this is your soul, and it has to have an anchor in order to even exist here. That is the ego. That is the earth. It is dense, it is heavy, it is pulling, it is weighing this soul down. It is keeping this soul here in the present, in the physical, manifested. So once you bring them into alignment, now they're balanced. Now they operate as one. Now they're equal. Now you're able to achieve this ascension. You can't when you're not in alignment, because you're still being weighed down here. The anchor that has to be, it has to be balanced out. So, and it was something I had just said in regards to that, and I completely have forgotten it just that quick. But that is the mission of the twin flame, as spoken of in the Bible as well. Okay, so another thing that we can get, again, because I said everything is everything, and anything that is also mentioned into the Bible, because all of this plays in the part, right? So then even when we look at this wheel here, we even have the tree of life, right? Or as said in the Bible, we have, because you can sit it right here, just sit the tree right here in the center, because you can be looking at this, you could be looking at this from above or from below, as above, so below. So you sit this tree right here in the center. This is your tree of life. This is us, our family trees, okay? Even the olive tree and the branches in the Bible, right? So the tree represents both the as above, so below, the tangible versus the non-tangible, the masculine, the feminine. It's everything is everything. It also represents that as well. So we have the tree as a whole, right? We have, if you were to split this tree, just like, splitting of the cells, we split this tree, and we have the roots. Okay, the roots is the grounding. The roots is what's unseen, because standing above the ground, you can't see what's happening underneath the ground. You can't see these roots digging deep into the earth. Okay, represents what is unseen, but we know that it has roots. Okay, the knowing, we know that it has roots, because this tree would not exist if it did not. So this is, we don't see the roots, we know that there's roots because we can see this tree, the tangible. Okay, then we have, at the same time, while it's reaching deep into the ground, the tree is also reaching up to the sky at the same time. So as above, so below. And it makes like this, exactly just like from Pisces to Virgo, how this kind of like this energetic kind of cord, where the soul is up here kind of just floating, and it dropped this anchor, down onto the earth. So it stays anchored here. This is the tree. Okay, it's anchored by its roots that we can't see, but it's also growing high into the sky that we can see. We can see those branches, and those branches are merely but fractals of just parts of that tree. Okay, so the wheel is also the tree, and we are the tree. We are the family tree, the tree of life. We are that olive tree, with the wild olive tree with the branches that had to be grafted back in, right? That is all of us. So we represent that all, even the connection between heart and mind. How, you say, well, my heart's just not in alignment with my mind. My heart says one thing and then my mind tells me another thing. Why can't they just agree? Okay, come to alignment. That's what everything is all about. That is what this whole spiritual journey is all about. Again, finding ourselves and coming back to self, coming back to God, our God selves, because this avatar is only God-like. It is the outer representation it is the physical outer representation of what is, internally inside. Okay, so in order for, so now we know that we have to integrate, but how do you integrate, right? How do you integrate ego with soul? Because again, ego is afraid of not being here anymore. It's afraid of not being the one that's seen first. It feels like it's going to die. It doesn't want to die. So it's in fight with spirit. It's in fight with soul. Soul wants to be whole again. It's the one that's pulling, the feminine, the energy, the moon, it pulls, whereas the sun, the ego, it pushes. So it's pushing the soul away. No, like a child having a tantrum. No, I don't want anything to do with you. No, I don't want to do it your way. I want to do it my way. And soul's like, come on, come, please, compassion, love. And soul is just, ego's just fighting, right? Because it thinks, it doesn't know that it's not going to die. It just thinks that it is. So it's fighting for its life. Okay, when you're saying, I'm out here fighting for my life, it's ego. Okay, it's fighting, it's putting up a battle. So you have to in order to get your soul, your ego to surrender. And that is, actually a step within the spiritual journey. Okay. One of the steps is surrender. Even within the twin flame journey, one of the major, actually the kind of the last step and the most major step in a twin flame journey is surrender. The ego has to surrender to the soul in order for union to happen. In order to do that, you have to come at ego. You have to come to the I with love and compassion and unconditional love. Okay, love without conditions. That means complete and total acceptance. So you have to be able to accept the I, the ego, come with understanding. Okay, talk to ego as you would want someone to talk to you. Okay, you have to treat yourself, and I've always lived my life by this motto, and I understand why now. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and vice versa. Treat yourself the way you want others to treat you. Okay, it's the same thing. So you have to be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard and forceful with yourself. Be compassionate and understanding and loving of yourself. Then ego and have open communication with yourself, okay? Because ego wants to know everything. Ego wants to know what the heck is going on, okay? And where are we going? What are we doing? Who's that? What's going on? Ego is the one that's always searching for answers. Ego is the one that has to get to know, has to learn self because it's action-based. The sun, Leo, right? Mars actually being the very first house, right? And again, as the very first thing that's even seen is this physical body, Aries. Mars is action, okay? So Mars is so ego is the one that's again, it's the body, it's the machine, it's the one doing things, it's holding its pencil, it's talking, it's moving it's moving the lips, words are coming out. That is of this ego, it's the body. So it's action based. It's the one that's having to do everything. So it wants to know what's going on. It's the control aspect of it all. So if you are open up that open communication with self, be kind with self, and ego is more, it's easier to get ego to surrender to the will to the will of self, to the mission, to come into alignment in that mission to achieve ascension for the collective, for self and the collective. So once you've once you've opened up that communication and you informed ego, allow ego, to search the answers that it needs and to get the confirmations that it needs. Allow it that. Let it do that. That way, once it understands itself and it knows itself, it can now come back to self, because self doesn't feel so much like a stranger anymore. It doesn't feel so much unseen anymore. It understands. I understand. I get it now. It makes sense. Now, ego wants to. Now I want to come in alignment with myself. Now I want to be with self. Now I want to love self. Now I want to help. Now I want to make a difference. That is the union. That is when union happens. Once you get surrender, then you get union. But surrendering is the most important part. And again, it's all in how you treat yourself and a communication that you keep with yourself, informing yourself and allowing yourself to be informed while getting to know yourself. Okay. So, and something else that I had noticed with this wheel. Okay. So the last house being the 12th, and then the first house, right? So 12th is ran by Pisces, Neptune. The first is ran by Aries, Mars. Neptune and Mars are opposites of each other. So this is like when there's an opposition created in astrology, it means that, think of a seesaw. You have the seesaw, you have a person here, you have a person here, right? When there's just one person here, it's unbalanced. But when there's another person there, it's balanced. This is the opposition. You have a girl and you have a boy right here. Okay? They're opposites, but they're equal. And there's this energetic cord or connection or conversation that these two are having with each other to achieve this balance. So again, we have to balance. We have to bring in alignment with ourself and our ego. Okay? So that's where I'm at now in this journey. I have been able to achieve the union, and we have been able to achieve the union, because when I say the I is the ego, right? So the I is the thinking, who I am is the knowing. So we have been able to come into union, and I have now taken on the role of being the observer. So I am now observing myself. I am now listening to myself. I am now taking the direction of myself, because this avatar, this ego, is merely but a tool for self to operate and maneuver around in this 3D realm. Waiting on my children to come home from school. Okay, so now they're in alignment, and now I can take better instruction from myself. All right, as taking the role of the observer, I'm no longer taking the seat as the controller. I'm now working as the student to learn and to observe myself, because myself knows. I know nothing, but myself knows. So I have to learn from myself. I have to become the observer of myself. That is union. Okay, so that's happened within myself. The next to happen would be outside of myself, would be the actual physical union with my physical twin flame, who represents the other half of my soul. So, and then once that has been achieved, then that's when ascension happens. So that's where we are currently on this journey. So just really wanted to put that out there for those who have been like myself. Just really wanted to read or hear other people's experiences, how they've been able to handle it and things like that. And it has really helped. It has helped a lot. And so just wanted to be just as helpful for anyone else out there who's also on their spiritual journey and is just looking for some answers and trying to find themselves as well. I want to be the light to be able to help those others who are looking for all of that. So just to let you know, kind of what to expect. It's rough. It's really rough, but it's not as tough as it has to be. It's really a lot, looking back in hindsight now, it's a lot easier than we make it out to be. It's just that fight between ego and spirit. It's really ego making it more difficult than it has to be. It's ego that's creating the challenges that have to be overcame in order for the union to happen. So outside of that, if it wasn't ego putting up the fight and these challenges, it really wouldn't be that difficult. It'd be a lot simpler. So just putting out there that it doesn't have to be that tough. It really doesn't. And the intention is that maybe this will help someone else and it will kind of ease that and help them ease into integration easier. Once you put that ego at ease, just put it at ease. Just let it know you're okay. We're okay. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right. So, the intention is that this really helps anyone out there, or what have you, as it has helped myself as well. So I'm now, I really do enjoy this experience, to be honest now. It's been rough. It was rough leading up to this very moment. Had you just talked to me about a month ago or just 3-4 weeks ago, I was ready to leave here. I was done. I've had enough. This is difficult. This is challenging. Why would I agree to this? Why would I set myself up for these types of things? Like, why? That was the ego. The ego is the victim. It plays the victim. Why is this happening to me? Oh my God, what's going on? And then that is what sends you on the journey to self-discovery. So I was pushed onto self-discovery because of the challenges that I had gone through because of ego. But all of that was set by design, right? I had set that up. Myself had set that up for us before we had even manifested here in this 3D. So just, all of that's just kind of playing out to get me here, because I knew that I was going to end up here when I did. So I'm now, looking back, I'm really enjoying this journey. I am enjoying this journey now, and I look forward to every day. Every day I'm looking forward to the experiences. I'm looking forward to the peace that I will have, that I have. I look forward to the impact and the changes amongst the collective, amongst us all. I'm just really excited for everything moving forward, because I know that everything gets easier from here. Like I did all the hard work. I did the hard work. I put in some work. Ego, I put in that work. I did that. Now I'm here. Now everything else just, it kind of starts to fall in line from here. As I come into alignment with myself, naturally my reality, my environment is going to match right on up with that. So everything else is going to come into alignment with it as well. And I am so excited. I'm telling you, I'm so excited. I got through it. I didn't think I could. I didn't think I would. I was ready to leave this place. I'm so serious. But I did it. I did it. And I'm here. I am here. We are here. I made it. So Again, just putting that out for everyone. I really hope that everything that I said made some sense. I hope that you receive it well, that you receive it well. So yeah, this is the very first of maybe many more to come. We'll kind of see how it goes from here. If you all like it, let me know. I will definitely, I have tons of things, understandings that I've come into recently. A lot that is on my mind that I'm wanting eagerly to share with the collective, with the masses. So I have lots of more things to talk about and to discuss with everyone. And if it's something that you're interested in, if you enjoy how I was able to elaborate on and my perspective, because I am not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong. I'm just here to merely share my experience in hopes that it resonates with someone else out there. So if it resonated with you, if you like it, let me know, and I'll continue to put content out there like this, my perspectives, my divine downloads and perspectives. So it was great speaking with you all. It was good to get this out. I look forward to many more.